Hey guys, what's going on and welcome back to another drone video. Today I finally get to test the Antigravity A1. Now when I first saw this drone was released, I distinctly remember thinking, what is it? Is it the same like the Avatar 2? You have your goggles, you have the motion controller, like is this the same? Now with this drone, my understanding is that when you look to the left or to the right in the goggles, you actually look to the left and to the right in the air. And then I also read that, no, you can, when you fly forward, you can capture everything around you in one shot. What? Now I do understand it now, but the truth is that I'm still a little bit confused on what to actually expect with this drone. So hopefully that is what I'm gonna uncover in today's video. Now also for full transparency, Insta360 did send me this drone in exchange for a couple of videos, but there's no money exchanged and I do get to say whatever I want. I think. All right, let's dive in.
Okay, so in the box you will get this nice leather bag with everything nicely tucked and organized inside, including the drone, the goggles, the controller, and the battery charger with 3 batteries for your drone and the external battery for your goggles. And you will also get some small accessories. To set the drone up was fairly easy. You charge up your batteries, you download the Antigravity app, you connect your devices and download the latest firmware, and you are pretty much good to go. Now if you're used to any DJI drones, this will feel fairly similar. And for the drone itself, it reminded me a lot of my Mini 5 Pro. It has pretty much the same size and layout with the micro SD card and the USB-C at the back. You insert the battery the same way and you double tap and hold the power button to power it on. With the standard battery, it also comes in at around the same weight, just below 250 grams, which puts it in the C0 category with fewer flight restrictions. When we get to the front of the drone, however, it is nothing like a DJI drone. This drone has 2 cameras, with one camera facing upward and one facing downward, giving you a full 360-degree capture. It also has its own landing gear, which is necessary due to that bottom camera not touching the ground during landing and takeoff. Now with that said, if you are unlucky and scratch or damage the glass, there is also this replacement lens kit for swapping out the lenses, which is really nice. The vision goggles is where you will be watching your drone feed, and it acts pretty much like a VR headset, and it's powered on by an external battery that you hang around your neck. On the left of the vision goggles there is a touchpad for operations, while the right side has a display showing animations, firmware updates, but what's more exciting is that you can have other people watch your flight perspective on this display while you are flying, so they can somewhat take part of that flight. The drone itself is controlled via a motion controller, and again here, this is also fairly similar to the controller for the DJI Avatar 2. The button placements on this controller feels very intuitive, with a big red emergency button that stops the drone, and just like any DJI drone, you have Cine, normal and sports mode for different speeds, which brings me over to the actual flying experience, because this is nothing like a regular DJI drone, even the Avatar 2. So what makes the flying experience on this drone so unique is the fact that you not only see everything through the vision goggles, you can actually turn your head and look around freely. So while the drone is flying in one direction, you can look around 360 degrees without deviating from the flight direction. This is completely unique, and it's pretty much the closest feeling I have gotten to actually flying myself. On top of that, to take this experience a step further, you can head into the menu and activate the VR cockpit and roam around on a Dragon if that is something you're into. And if you ever need to go from the flight interface to check your surroundings where you're standing, you can double click the side of the goggles to bring up a black and white video feed. So pressing the top right button on the controller will bring up the menu. When you're inside, you simply aim with the motion controller and press the trigger to select. Inside the menu you will find 2 different flight modes, free motion and FPV, with free motion being the more casual of the 2. The controls for this mode is very easy and straightforward. You press and hold the trigger to pick up speed, you point the controller up and the drone goes up, point it down and the drone descends. By moving it to the left or right will make the drone fly left or right. However, you cannot fly sideways without flying forward, and you cannot fly backwards with this drone, but turning the wheel on the motion controller will turn the drone quickly around. There is also a target icon that shows the direction your drone is flying that moves around like a mouse pointer when you use the motion controller. Now if you hop over to FPV mode, the controls changes a bit and will act more like a jet. Now it will turn left by tilting the grip left and right by tilting it right. So to answer what you're thinking, yes, FPV mode, sports mode for max speed, plus Dragon for role playing. That is the max experience. Now for the range of the transmission, I found it to be very similar to my Avatar 2, which is not that great. In an open area, it's doing fine, but if there's anything in between the goggles and the drone blocking the signal, I would imagine it's worse. You obviously still need to fly responsibly, keep line of sight, and follow your local drone regulations anyway. But it's not only the flight experience that makes this drone so unique, it is also the fact that you have 360 capture. So to put it simply, you are basically capturing everything in one shot. So even if you missed a shot or you get a bad shot, you still got the shot because you can reframe it in post later. To give you an example, if you fly straight forward like this shot, you can reframe it with endless of possibilities in the app in post-production with all sorts of crazy complicated FPV maneuvers, which I will talk about soon. But before we go there, let's talk about something a lot of people care about, including me, the actual specs and image quality. So this drone comes equipped with two 1/1.28 inch sensors, and you can record up to 8K at 30 frames per second. However, with that said, when you're done reframing your 8K footage in post, which is nothing more than a heavy crop into the image, the final reframed resolution is much closer to 2.7K. The drone can also take photos up to 55 megapixels HDR, and for slow motion you can shoot in 4K up to 100 frames per second, but again here it won't be true 4K due to the reframing. The drone also only have the standard color profile, so there is no option to shoot in log for color grading, but I also wouldn't judge it too hard on the image quality, as the purpose of this drone, as I see it at least, is not to capture detailed cinematic shots in low light. Now for the features, again here it's pretty similar to DJI drones. You have a return to home feature that will activate when your battery is low or when you lose connection with the drone. If you also use the launching pad, the drone will automatically detect the pad and land accordingly. The drone also has a tracking feature for tracking subjects. It has SkyPath, much like waypoints, to set up a pre-flight route. And you have Genie, which is also very similar to DJI's quick shots and master shots for automated movements. So you select the movement, then you select the subject or the object, and the drone will do an automated movement for you. The drone is also equipped with an obstacle avoidance system using vision sensors at the front and bottom. It has 20 gigabytes of internal storage, and the battery life is rated for up to 24 minutes with the standard battery, but you can also get a high capacity battery that's rated for up to 39 minutes. But just be aware that this will also put the drone above 250 grams. Now for the max wind resistance, it's rated for up to 10.7 meters a second, and the top speed of this drone is rated for up to 16 meters a second, which is about the same as I got out of it. For the vision goggles, they do have more to offer than simply flying. They come with approximately 30 gigabytes of internal storage, and you can use these goggles to watch back your footage that you captured. You can practice flying in a flight simulator, and you can copy a movie to your SD card, and then you can use the goggles to watch movies at home or whatever as a big video projector. Alright, let's move over to the app and the post-production. I had a good understanding of it before I went into the edit. I had seen some videos on YouTube, but when I actually sat down with the footage myself, that's when it dawned on me on how absolutely ridiculous this technology is. For me personally, this was 10 times more fun than the actual flying experience. And the longer I sat with it, the more I started smiling, because it took some time for me to realize the potential. So to give you a quick breakdown, you simply drag your view around with your mouse and you add keyframes. So if I add one keyframe here at the start of this clip and one here at the end of the clip, it will create a sideways dolly shot. And you can also select a specific object for the drone to track. And as I mentioned earlier, you are capturing everything around you, which means you don't really have to do anything when flying except flying straight forward or choose the altitude. Just to give you a better understanding. So let's take this shot for example, where I'm simply flying straight forward. There are no complicated maneuvers here or anything like that. Then let's add some random keyframes with different positions and watch it back. Now this is when you realize the possibilities are actually endless. I'm not saying this is good, but you get the idea. It all comes down to creativity and how much you want to nerd out in post. So to put it into perspective, you can be a complete beginner with no skill. You only need to press the trigger to fly forward, and you will end up looking like someone who has flown FPV drones for years, depending on what you do with it in the edit. Now with that said, you still need some skill if you want those shots where you're flying closer to stuff, under bridges, gaps, etc. But still, this is ridiculous. The app also has a bunch of features, including the possibility to adjust your footage, much like in Lightroom. Now on top of that, you can also use the mobile app to select presets that does complicated movements with a simple click of a button. Which brings me over to the conclusion of this video with some pros and some cons and the final verdict.
Alright guys, so what is the verdict there? Well, first of all, I just want to say that I've had a blast testing this drone. Now, for the biggest pros, it really comes down to two main things, and that is first and foremost the flying experience. I have flown a lot of drones, the Avatar 2, etc, etc. This is the most fun I've had flying with. There's not really anything out there like this flying experience, at least right now. The second biggest pro, I would say, that is the capabilities that you have in your software after you're done with your footage. Also, when I sat down with the app, it didn't feel like work. It felt more like a fun experience. It felt like I could bring out creativity. I could make something out of nothing, basically. Now, if I have to pick on this drone, it would be the image quality. The fact that you shoot in 8K, and when you're done reframing, you lose a lot of resolution. Now, on top of that, I wish it had an option to shoot in log for color grading as well. And at the same time, if you're out flying in low light environments, you will start picking up a lot of noise pretty fast. So if you're mostly after pure image quality and you want to be able to perform in low light, etc., you would be much better off with a DJI drone like a Mavic or even a Mini 5 Pro. Speaking of the Mini 5 Pro, that is also something I wish this drone had an option for, and that is a regular remote controller as well. Now, don't take my word for it, but I have heard some rumors that there will be a solution to this, but this is just something I read. I don't know for sure. Overall, great experience flying this drone. Truly one of a kind, amazing technology, and I really had a fun time riding that Dragon as well. Now, if you're looking into getting this drone, you can find it in my description with my affiliate link, and I would appreciate it as well if you could use that link, as that also highly supports the channel. Thanks again to Insta360/Antigravity for sending me this drone. Appreciate it. Take care, fly safe, and I'll see you guys.